on to the next one. So outcome. Outcome is the second one here. And outcome is different than goals, by the way. We'll talk about goals later. But outcome is different than goals. What outcome means here is it's the outcome of the session that you're sitting down for. We're going to sit down for an hour. So what do we want the outcome to be? Or maybe we're sitting down for an hour and a half, whatever it is. So the outcome you're looking for should be a solution to a specific issue or problem, um, or at least steps towards a solution, whatever that is. So you've got your topic, and then you've got your outcome of what you would like to see improved upon during that session, or how you'd like to take steps towards that. Sometimes the outcome is or should be to connect and develop trust. So sometimes that outcome doesn't need to be really complicated. I think that there's a value in, when you're coaching, of just making a connection with that person and gaining their trust through listening intently to what their needs are and what they want to talk about and what they want to say. And I think the outcome, oftentimes, that may be the most important outcome. If you're skipping over the connection part and trying to come up with a practical solution to something, you might be missing the boat. So I think the solutions come in the context of a relationship and connecting. So keep that in mind as you're thinking through the outcomes. Maybe the outcome is just to um, help them see a different perspective or a better perspective, that type of thing. Remember that it's a marathon, and we only need to accomplish baby steps each session. So we don't need to, when we sit down for a coaching session, we need to realize that, number one, in order for people to really change the way they think and to move into healthier, thought filters, that type of thing, it's going to take some time. And you don't need to try to push it too much to try to get the person to see something, or to acknowledge something, or maybe confess to something, whatever it might be, or try to get somebody to a humble state when maybe they're in a prideful state. That's a mistake that's easy to make. But keep in mind that it is a marathon, and it's not a sprint. So a lot of times it's just moving a little bit closer towards what it is that we need to accomplish. A couple questions that we can ask that are pretty basic with when you're trying to determine what the outcome is basically, what do you want to get from this session today? What would you like? What would you like to get? Maybe the answer is, well, I'd like to have a couple of suggestions of things I can do for whatever, or I just want to get some understanding about something because I'm confused. So maybe that's what you want to get. You want to get clarification about something. Um, that type of thing. It could be a lot of different things. So, what do you want to get from this session today is an important one, and it can, it can help you, create, a target so that you're actually shooting for something and not just flailing in your coaching. So, another question is, what is one thing for you to focus on before next time? So that's something you can think about. So a lot of times when you give somebody things to think about or things to work on, if you give them too many, nothing happens. Nothing actually is worked on, and nothing is improved upon because there's just too much. I would recommend that each time you sit down with somebody, and if you're working towards a solution or you're working towards improvement in a certain area, give them one or maybe two things to work on, especially if it's about themselves. If it's things about the store that's not necessarily about themselves, you can do two or three things. But if it's something about them, usually it's hard enough to really confront yourself with multiple things. It's makes it a lot easier um, to focus on one thing. So, and maybe that one thing is reaching out to your employees. Maybe that one thing is listening a little bit better. Maybe that one thing is to start planning a little bit better before you start doing stuff, or um, you know whatever it is. But the outcome can be maybe just coming up with one small little thing that you can do for a plan for next time. So, all right, so that's the outcome. Next is goals and vision. So vision is the destination, and goals are the stepping stones to help guide you there. So goals and vision go hand in hand, but they are different. Vision is that idea that you have in your head of what it's going to be like down the road. You know, it might be that you think about opening up your own restaurant or buying your own restaurant or being a chef or whatever it might be, or maybe a college education, and that might be your vision of what you want to be down the road. And so goals would be things, practical things that you can do to help you get there. So it's think of the goals as a rung, rungs in the ladder, helping you get to your destination, which is at the top of your ladder. But it's really important that we don't just focus on goals, but we focus on our vision first and our goals second. And so as you're coaching people, um, and you are actually trying to get them to look into the future and to grab a hold of some idea that they can work towards. Um, Use vision first. And once you've established that vision, then you can start thinking about goals. Like here's what you want to do in 7 years. So let's talk about 2 years and 4 years. What do you want to do in that time? And what practical goals can you have to help you get there? So this is important to know the distinction between goals and vision. Okay, a few questions you can ask would be, what do you want? This is a great vision question. What do you want? It's probably the most popular question in the coaching world. You just want to find out what it is that they want. You can be more specific that you can say, what do you want your legacy to be when, at your funeral? What do you want people to say about you when you're at your funeral? Or in 15 years from now, where do you want to be financially? Or where do you want to be with your family? And where do you want to be as far as your career? What type of responsibilities do you want to have? And and what would you like your job title to look like? Or maybe is there something that you're passionate about that you can't figure out how to get to, and you want to get there, and but you're just not sure how? And this is a great question. What do you want? You can help to flush that out with people. So, and then the next thing too um, is to ask the question of, what are you willing to do to accomplish your goals? I've heard people a lot of times give this big, great, grand idea of what they want to become or what their long-term vision is, but they're just not willing to do what it takes to accomplish it. And so that's a follow-up question. Like, don't have a vision. Don't encourage a vision that someone's not willing to work towards. And so thinking through that, you've got to figure out um, what their vision is and what their goals are, what they're willing to accomplish for their goals. And if they're not willing to accomplish something, if they're just not willing to do it, well, then don't waste your time with the goals of what he said the goals was. Use that time to reestablish some different, a different vision, a different set of goals that they can accomplish. Something that's maybe smaller steps. Some people are just big dreamers and they think of these big grand things, but they don't know how to land the plane, and so they never really think about that. So that's an important question. Where do you see yourself in 3 years from now, or 6 months from now, or 10 years from now? That's a great question to ask people. A lot of times people don't know. They say, well, I don't know. I've never really thought about it. They're just kind of living day to day. And so as a coach, you can try to encourage somebody to think about where they'd like to see themselves 3 years from now or 6 months from now. Some other questions you can ask would be, what are you passionate about? What are you really good at? What do you just love to do? Those are great questions to get somebody at least to start thinking about how they might use their passions to in their career. A lot of people just think that their passions and the things that they really love to do and their career are just completely separate. You just can't interchange them. And sometimes that's true, of course, but the things that we're really passionate about, there's several things that most people are passionate about, and you can typically find the things that are going to drive you to succeed in any type of work or business. You can find that within yourself if you look hard enough, I think. So, all right. Once you have, some things established, so you've got a vision in place, you've got some goals in place of what they'd like to achieve at different time periods between now and the completion of their vision. It's important to ask the questions like, what is the time frame? When do you want to have this finished? And that goes for each one of the goals. Sometimes, you hear people say, yeah, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that, but they don't ever put it on the calendar, so it never actually starts. It never begins. And it's a coach. One of the best things a coach can do is hold people accountable for that and say, okay, so you tell me that you want to uh, learn more about this specific topic. Well, when are you going to do that? What's the day that you're going to set aside to read this or to go through this course or whatever it is? And so pinning people down and putting it on the calendar so it actually gets scheduled is very important for goals and vision. So another question would be, what intermediate steps can you identify with time frames? So what are the baby steps in between that you can do? What can you do between now and next week or next month when we meet again that you can do that will help you to meet your goals or to hit your vision? So, all right, so goals and vision. Those are pretty important.